Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, bringing you another video and another vinyl tag, and this one is about soul music. And I'm liking this one because I do have quite a few soul records, soul and R&B. This is a thread or vinyl tag that was initiated by is it Lovell Andrew or Lovell Andrew, over at his channel. But I'll have a link to the down under so that you can check out the list of questions. And he does encourage you to, play around, so that you can make it, your own little thing about soul music. So yeah, I was really excited about this because about a year or so ago, I read this book, Peter Guralnick's Sweet Soul Music. And this is a really, really good book to not only give you all the, lowdown about two of probably the most significant recording studios in the soul music and R&B industry, and that would be Stax Records and then Muscle Shoals. But also talks about a lot of different artists and, what was going on with them. I mean, I knew about Isaac Hayes and, writing the soundtrack for Shaft, but I had no idea that Isaac Hayes was one of the studio musicians and songwriters in the Stax record studio and was involved in writing songs that became huge hits for other musical artists. So really, really excellent read. Plus, it has in the back a list of the recordings by the various artists. So it's a great resource if you want to explore other areas in R&B and soul and funk to a degree, but mostly R&B and soul. And find records that, maybe you haven't heard about or listened to before. Really, really great resource. So get started here. The first soul album. All right. So the first soul album I really ever heard and fell in love with it immediately. My sister had the record and I would have been maybe 8 or 9 years old, maybe 10 years old. And that was Ray Charles, Do the Twist. I mean, oh my gosh, this record. And I got the purple and orange or purple and red kind of, well, it kind of matches my shirt a little bit, I guess. Atlantic label. But, man, so many great songs on here. Tell the Truth. Tell Me How Do You Feel? I Got a Woman, Heartbreaker. That's all on just side one. And then, you've got What I Say. Oh, Jesus, what a classic. Talking About You. You Be My Baby. Leave My Woman Alone. I'm Moving On. I can remember as a kid just, infatuated with the back here and the steps for the twist. And I was like trying to figure out, what is the twist? And of course, I ended up seeing people doing the twist when I would watch, Dick Clark and his American Bandstand. So I got, figured it out finally because I'm looking at this diagram going like, what the hell? But anyway, yeah, this would be my first soul record and I loved it, immediately loved it as like a 9-year-old. And I still love this record and Ray Charles in general. All right, a Motown album. So I went with this one, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Going to a Go-Go. This is on the Tamla label, which is a sub-label of Motown. And, classic record with the song Going to a Go-Go. But, so many, Since You Won My Heart, Fork in the Road, Ooh, Baby, Baby, The Tracks of My Tears. What a song. which the British ska band, The Beat, or as they were marketed here in the U.S., the English Beat, did a fantastic cover of The Tracks of My Tears as well. So that's my Motown record. A recent soul purchase. So my most recent soul purchase was a few months back, and that's this one, the Dock of the Bay Sessions, Otis Redding. On Volt, on the Volt label, another, soul music label. And the original Dock of the Bay album is so hard to find, and then when you do find it, it's often in like trash condition. So I was very, very pleased when I saw this reissue, having the whole sessions laid out in there, plus having read about these sessions in this book. It was it was really nice to be able to pick up that record. And something, again, that I learned inside the book is that, when Otis was touring, I think he was kind of reluctant at first, but then he liked having Sam and Dave along in the tour. And, we're talking about another Stax record duo, because Sam and Dave would get the crowd so pumped and so excited that put pressure that Otis Redding liked on himself to go out there and just really kill the crowd. And so, when he was touring, I think it was particularly in London, the London tour, or the European tour, because if I remember right, he was a little bit reluctant because they were like show stealers, but then he used that to his advantage. A single 7 or 12. I don't have a single a 7-inch or a 12-inch soul record. There is one that has been on my want list for a long time. And of course, I probably should have written it down because it's escaping me at the moment. But it's another one where this single, gosh, in the secondhand market, just for a 12-inch single, it was like well over $100. But now it's been reissued. And what is it? Baby, Don't Leave Me, or Don't Send Me Away. Don't Send Me Away. And I cannot remember the artist, but it's been reissued. I still don't see it anyplace. It's widely available in Discogs, although most of the vendors are in Europe, and that's a problem with the shipping. But I would really like that. Don't Send Me Away. I really want to find that single. So instead of that, for the question, I'm going with, a greatest hits compilation of the Supremes on the Motown label, because it's filled with singles. So, but of course, all the great ones here. Baby Love, Stop in the Name of Love, Back in My Arms Again. Oh, geez, so many. You Keep Me Hanging On. And of course, there's that great cover, the psychedelic cover of that song by Vanilla Fudge. All right, what's next here? We got a live soul album. So here's someone that I really didn't know about until I read that book by Peter Guralnick, and that is Solomon Burke and Soul Alive. This is an incredible soul record on Demon Records. So, Solomon Burke, the Reverend of Soul, and the way he, you could hear it in this recording, and the way he works the crowd. Are you with me? Are you with me? It's just amazing stories too in that book about Solomon Burke. including they were on the road down in Alabama, and they were like given these like very clear instructions, after they were done playing, that they would be escorted out to the highway. And before the show, all the black folk from around there were bringing, tons and tons and tons of food for him and his band, which this happened a lot. And then, they had very bright lights, on them. And it was like during the show, and he's trying to squint through the lights to see who's in the audience. And he sees nothing but white hoods. It's a KKK barbecue. And they're the star performers for this event. So needless to say, when the show was over, they didn't break down any of their equipment. They just picked it up all whole. The drummer apparently picked up his entire drum set, or as much as he could, so that he could just pick it up, and they all put it inside there. They got paid, and then they left. Tons and tons of stories about that. You got to read the story about his interaction with James Brown. All right, next one, a favorite male soul singer. And I'm going with Sam Cooke. And this is the best of Sam Cooke. I have a couple of his records, including the famous show at, I think it was the Cotton Club. But yeah, this is a great one, the best of Sam Cooke. All of the great songs, You Send Me, Having a Party, Bring It On Home, Chain Gang, Twisting the Night Away. So, I mean, wow, just, amazing record. Very easy to find. Yeah, I still got the price tag from the place I bought it from. Brand new, $25, probably too much, but record prices in Chicago can be high at times. A favorite female soul singer. I have always been a fan of Etta James. Man, can she kill it. Her voice is just so amazing. And this is a release on Wax Time. And I had a compilation. This is the complete Chess and Argo singles. And I had this on CD, but I wanted to get it on vinyl, but it wasn't available. And then, it was just a couple years ago, it got reissued, but in Europe. So I ended up buying this from a vendor it was either Spain or Portugal. Then it was more widely available. So, no, wait a minute. That's right, I did. I bought it on Amazon. But it's a European pressing. That's what the deal was. Yeah, it's a European pressing. But it was available on Amazon. Nonetheless, I was so happy to see this release. Love Etta James. She also, my memory's a little bit hazy. When I saw the Rolling Stones in 1978 in Tucson, she either made like a cameo appearance, or she actually was an opening act for the Stones. I can't quite remember which. It seems like she might have been an opener, but I also seem to remember that she came out and sang a song with the Stones. Anyway, Etta James, love Etta James. All right, a funk record. And I went with this one, Funkadelic, One Nation Under a Groove. It says that there's no 7-inch single. I mean, the 7-inch single was included in here with it, but it was, I guess the word is damaged. For some reason, it had some kind of major slash across the vinyl, so on the single. So yeah, it's completely unplayable. I don't know what happened to that, but so as a result, without the 7-inch single, it was a fairly decent price for this. But yeah, I've got Funkadelic and Parliament, you know, and all the other George Clinton creations, you know, that era. Just great, great, great stuff. All right, next one is a blaxploitation soundtrack, and I don't have any. You know, I don't have. I want to get Isaac Hayes in the soundtrack to Shaft. I'd like to get Hot Buttered Soul, but again, it's not that they're rare. I just haven't seen them in the wild, and I would prefer to do that than buy it from, you know, a vendor on Discogs. But I'll get that. But instead, you know, and then I thought about using Prince Purple Rain, because that's kind of a soundtrack, but I mean, well, it is a soundtrack, but is it blaxploitation? You know, it didn't, you know, so I thought I would, you know, play around with this a little bit and go with this album here by this band called the Chakachas. This is Jungle Fever. And this is some serious Caribbean funk by I think they're a Belgian band. And the song Jungle Fever, the titular song, it sounds almost like a pornographic soundtrack. It's a great song, great album. Like I say, this is some serious funk. The Chakachas. All right, favorite soul record cover. It's a simple cover, but I really do like this, and this is more R&B than soul. But the Busboys, Minimum Wage, Rock and Roll. This is on the Aretha label, and you know, it's great fun. You know, rock and roll, R&B, rockish R&B. And this was a band that got a lot of promotion from comedian Eddie Murphy, who he brought them on Saturday Night Live. He had them do the soundtrack to, or, you know, the song, oh, now the movie, the film is escaping me. He's a police undercover, I can't remember. But anyway, I like the cover and I love the music as well. All right, a 60s soul classic. I got a couple because I just really like these. First one is Johnny Guitar Watson. You know, a little more, again, maybe in the rock and R&B, but he certainly got soul. And he was a major influence, in fact. His guitar playing was a major influence on Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa cites him as a musician that greatly influenced his own style of guitar playing. And in fact, Frank kind of resurrected Watson's career in the 70s, mid to late 70s, when he brought him on to do some vocals on a couple of his records, One Size Fits All being the most prominent, where he does, you know, just absolutely killer vocals. And that led to a resurgence in his career. And then he published or produced and released a couple more, you know, new albums into the 80s. So one of my, for someone from the 60s, and later in the 60s, we've got Magic Sam. West Side Soul, you know, Chicago West Side. Again, you know, we got, I don't know if any of these guys are that famous other than Magic Sam, Mighty Joe Young, Stockholm Slim, Mac Thompson, Ernest Johnson, Odie Payne. Yeah, great classic here. On the Delmark label, which is a Chicago label. All right, next one, 70s soul classic. My representation here is this greatest hits album by the Fifth Dimension. Love this album. And of course, it has the medley of Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In. But it's got Up, Up, and Away, Love Lines, Angels and Rhymes, Puppet Man, Together We'll Find Love. Last Night I Didn't Get to Sleep at All, Stone Soul Picnic. Great songs, wonderful, wonderful stuff. And, you know, The Fifth Dimension to me is definitely a classic. By the 70s and going into the 80s, soul music was kind of, you know, the bloom was off the lily. People were not necessarily really getting that much into souls. Funk was probably ascending more than pure soul music. And R&B was kind of shifting. But this group here, a friend of mine, turned me on. So for my 80s selection is the SOS Band. Not a well-known band, fairly big group. So they've got a really big, and this is the title of the record is Band on the Rise. I don't think this is their debut. I can't recall. But they have several releases. They're not that well known, but it's all really, really good stuff. And it's a fairly sizable band. Lots of players in here. So the SOS Band, really like that. Now, all right, a soul duet favorite. And, you know, you can't, again, we'll go back to the Stax Record Studios. And you can't, you know, Otis Redding and Carla Thomas, King and Queen. This record is just an absolute wonder to have. It is great. As I said, a Stax Record release, and great duets in here. Bring It On Home to Me, the Sam Cooke song they do together. And then, of course, some songs that the house band, you know, Booker T and the MGs with Steve Cropper, and, of course, Booker T. Washington. You know, they do the song Knock on Wood with them. Again, and the recording of this, and then also a lot of stuff about Carla Thomas. Again, I just really cannot over recommend the book and the information and the stories in there. It is all really great. A couple other records before the last question I want to show is, you know, just because I'm having fun with this, we've got Aretha, Lady Soul, on the Atlantic label. So, you know, Atlantic kind of was working with Stax Records. And again, the information in the Grolnick book about Aretha is really good. But this is probably, to me, if you're going to have one Aretha album, this is the one to get. You know, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, People Get Ready. It's by, you know, Curtis Mayfield wrote that song for her. Chain of Fools. Since You've Been Gone, Good to Me As I Am to You. That's one of her originals. She did Ray Charles' Comeback Baby is on this. Yeah, this is seriously, if there's one Aretha album you want to get, and you only want one Aretha album, that's the one. And then I was mentioning, you know, Booker T and the MGs. There's also the Marquis, house band, for Stax Records. So this has got Green Onions, and then followed by Red Beans and Rice. Then we've got the Marquis doing songs. They do a cover of Give Me Some Lovin'. You know, Steve Cropper, Andrew Love on saxophone with Joel Arnold as well. But you got, or Booker T. Jones. Why did I call him Booker T. Washington? Jesus. That was very careless of me. But Booker T's here, you know, and then Steve Cropper, who, amazing rhythm guitarist whose style really was very helpful in all the recording. I mean, they were pretty much the house band for a lot of people, including Otis Redding. And it's interesting that Steve Cropper was also mentioned by Syd Barrett as being one of the main guitar influences on his own style. Both Syd Barrett and Bo Diddley were the two major influences on Syd Barrett's guitar playing. So now we come to the final question, and what is your favorite soul song? And so I showed this as, my first soul album. It has my favorite soul song, and that is What I Say. And I mean, that song, listening to that, I'm like 9, 10 years old. Nonetheless, I just loved the sound. Love the song. What I Say. That is my favorite, all around, definitely favorite soul song. And that particular recording of it is my favorite. So there you go. There's my soul vinyl tag 2021. Hope you enjoyed that. Hey, leave some comments and feedback in the Down Under. I sure appreciate it. I will have a link in the Down Under to Lovell Andrew's page so that you can check out, what he's laid out for the thread. And always remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.